Although Virginia Woolf challenged British sexual and gender norms with novels like Orlando, she ultimately conformed with the expectations of society both in this novel and in her real life. Woolf wrote Orlando during her most prolific period that coincided with a love affair with Vita Sackville West, another London author from an aristocratic family. Woolf wrote 3 of her most famous books in this period between 1925 and 1928, To the Lighthouse, Orlando, and The Waves. The character of Orlando is based almost entirely on Vita Sackville West. In fact, Woolf's nephew described this inspiration and the resulting novel as, quote, the longest love letter ever written in English literature. The parallels between Virginia Woolf's life, her perceptions about sex, gender, and class, and the character Orlando are very revealing to the era. On the surface, Woolf lived a relatively conventional life until she was in her late 30s. After her mother and then father died, she moved in with her sister and established an extended group of friends and associates. This became the Bloomsbury group of writers, artists, and philosophers, and as a result, there was a considerable intellectual rigor in her environment. It was during this time that she met and married Leonard Woolf, a political theorist and author, in 1912. He would help root Virginia's life from this point until her death in 1941. Bloomsbury included an eclectic mix of gender nonconformists who had radical ideas for the time. Through Bloomsbury friends, Woolf met Vita Sackville West, and during their intense affair, she wrote Orlando. Like Vita Sackville West, the character Orlando was an aristocrat living in London, having several romantic and sexual relationships with women. Although Virginia Woolf was not from an aristocratic family, her father, Leslie Stephen, was an eminent biographer, critic, and editor. As a result, Virginia was exposed to the English world's titled intelligentsia while growing up, such as Lord Alfred Tennyson, Thomas Hardy, and Henry James, to name a few. Virginia Woolf and Orlando were both writers who valued the arts, and they both explored unconventional aspects of life. Woolf lived vicariously through Orlando in her writing and Vita Sackville West in real life while the novel was being written. Yet neither Woolf nor the character she created ever fully transcended the societal norms placed upon them. They flowed beyond the confines of a conventional life, but were always rooted in that life at the same time. And this dichotomy was manifest in gender fluidity for the fictional Orlando by Virginia Woolf, and through the very real Vita Sackville West. Quote, Sackville West saw herself as psychologically divided in two. One side of her personality was more feminine, soft, submissive, and attracted to men, while the other side was more masculine, hard, aggressive, and attracted to women. Woolf uses Orlando's transformation to explore so many of the gender, sex, and class issues that fascinated her. And just like Woolf, Orlando learns that she must conform to the expectations of society in order to be a functional member. The last novel Virginia Woolf wrote was The Waves, and it is here that her famous line appears, quote, I am rooted, but I flow. This was the culmination of her experimentation while writing Orlando. While Virginia Woolf and Orlando remained rooted inside the confines of societal norms, they were able to flow beyond the boundaries from time to time to create some balance of happiness and contentment. Although she took her own life due to mental illness, in her suicide note she thanked her husband and made it clear that no one could have made her happier.